All right, let's take a look at the clicker questions for Chapter 0, Getting Started. What are two common methods for collecting data? That would be observational studies and experiments. A researcher wants to evaluate whether a new method of teaching chemistry to high school students is more effective than the standard teaching method. To achieve this, the investigator divides the class randomly into two groups, Group A and Group B, and plans to implement a new teaching technique in Group A while keeping the standard teaching method in Group B. What common method of data collection is used in this study? This is an experimental study because there are treatment plans. Data collected from opinion polls or surveys exemplify an observational study because we are not giving treatments to people, we're just observing something, an opinion in that case. Because variation is everywhere, conclusions are uncertain. Statistics gives us a language for better understanding uncertainty. That is true. Variation is everywhere. However, repeated measurements on the same individual do not vary, and certainly not everything varies over time. That's false. What are the major methods and strategies of data analysis? We explore data, organize data, and describe data. So all of the above. Which statement is incorrect with respect to statistical inference? Statistical conclusions usually consist of yes or no answers is not correct. So it is correct to say that statistical inference involves drawing conclusions about some wider universe. And to describe variation and uncertainty, statistical inference uses the language of probability. A and C are true. Almost all relationships between two observed characteristics or variables are influenced by other factors. To understand the relationship between two variables, often one must look at other variables. Careful statistical studies try to think of and measure possible blank variables in order to correct for their influence. This will be lurking variables. Lurking because we're not always aware that they're there. True or false? Statistical conclusions are on the average statements only, and even these on the average statements have an element of uncertainty. That is true. How does the four-step process work in order to better understand the data? We must state a problem in the real-world context, plan our specific statistical work in detail, solve the problem by making the necessary graphs and calculations, and conclude by explaining what our findings say about the real-world setting. So state, plan, solve, conclude are the four steps